This is the animation toolbox, and it contains a set of tools for working with animation, both general and Rhiggit specific. It has the two tabs, items and curves. The curves tab contains quick tools pertinent to curves, such as motion bakers, typesetter and various curve filters, whilst the items tab contains more general repetitive use tools that are used during keyframing and the process of animation itself. You'll notice that both tabs share this upper portion, where we have selections for curve types, channels and items. These top two selections serve all of the different tools in the two tabs of the animation toolbox, depending on the tool of course. If a setting from either the channel selection sets or the curve type selection sets is pertinent to the operation of a given tool, then that is the selection that is used for it. Similarly, any of the tools that are run will be run on the items that are selected using these selection sets here. To illustrate how all this works in general, let's just have a look at the simple keying tool. So here I have a camera and a couple of chains of bones, and what we can see is if I come to a frame here, let's say 10, and I select the camera, then if I come over to keyframe, and I can choose either to keyframe now or at a certain frame in the timeline, and I hit keyframe, we see that by default a keyframe is created there. Furthermore, this key has been created on all of the position, rotation and scale channels since they were selected. The key that has been created as a TCB spline, since that was the curve type selection here. And over here we see that cell is highlighted, which means that the key was created on viewport selected items, in this case just the camera. And of course you can delete the key in the same manner there. Or let's say I wanted it again, but I only wanted it for the 3 rotation channels, I could select just rotation, and perhaps I was wanting it linear. Hit keyframe again and we can see that the only keys that we have there at frame 10 are here on the rotation channels and are indeed linear. So how this selection here works for curve types and channels is pretty straightforward and obvious. As for the most part is the little selection sets here. For the moment we see that we've been working on selected. If however I select a bone here and I click on child to highlight that and I create a keyframe, then we can see that there has been a keyframe created for not just this selected item but also its children, like this. If however we have an item selected and we unhighlight cell and just highlight child, then when we keyframe we see that no keyframe has been set on the selected item, but it has been set for all of the children. This reveals how our little selection panel here is working, in that we can toggle between different item selections, but also we can stack them together of a fashion. So I can choose to key just the selected item and its children, or just the children, by alternating the toggles on cell and child. I can also just key all objects in the scene, so that would be all meshes and nulls. If I choose bones and we'll just come to a different frame here, then when I key that, we can see that what is keyed is all bones of the current selected item, or the current bone set, all bones that would belong under the same item as that one which were selected, in this case this null. But these bones over here, of course, have not been keyframed because they are bones belonging to a different object. However, if we select bones plus, then using the bones plus selection method, we'll key all bones of all objects in the scene. We also of course here have selections to key all cameras, key all lights, and of course were we wanting to, we could choose cams, lights, bones plus and objects, and then when we keyframed that would keyframe every single item in the scene. There are then these 3 special selection modes for working with RH rigs, which are rig, part and child, with rig selected. Then when we keyframe, the entire rig will be keyframed, all of the main controllers will be. The FK, the IK, everything. We can, if we are wanting, choose part, and that will key the current part as you add parts in the bodybuilder, so the arm, the leg, the spine and so on. In this case we've got one of the spine controllers selected, which is what we had selected when we keyed the entire rig. You can key the whole rig from any selected part, any selected controller, and similarly when you are keying a part you can have any selected piece or single controller of that part selected. When we key it, we see that the spine and all of the spine controls become keyed, but of course nothing else is. And of course we can use child, which will keyframe the child parts. So with the spine still selected here, when I keyframe, we see that we get both the spine and the arms and the head and the neck and the fingers and the eyes and everything else that is a child of the spine and the spine itself all keyed. And just like with general objects, we can uncheck part and just leave child parts. That of course would allow you to say select the hand, add a keyframe, and whilst we have not added a keyframe for the hand, we have keyframed all of the finger controllers. So as you can see, having these selection methods for channels and key type and being able to quickly switch between different item selection really helps in the animation workflow of a great many common tasks. Whether you're doing something simpler like general camera animation, or you're doing complex character animation, or trying to do something for motion graphics or whatever. The animation toolbox is designed to give you fast selection options and a consolidated array of commonly needed tools all in one handy place. Tools which we will continue to see specifically in other videos.